Hello and happy holidays to everybody out there in Yellow Jacket Nation from us at From the Rumble Seat. Jack is here. We're going to run this interview we did with Michelle Collier a couple weeks ago. We were planning on doing some sort of volleyball recap thing, and it just didn't pan out like we would have wanted to, but we at least got the audio, so we want to make sure that gets out to y'all. We recap a good bit of the season, just kind of the narrative and all the stuff that she's looking forward to going into next year, as well as talking about the departures of Juliet Bergman, Breland Morissette, and others. So thanks for listening. If you have been listening this year, the podcast itself has grown a lot in terms of listenership over the last few months, especially once with football comes a little bit added response, but that's just part of the game. So while y'all are out there, just please make sure you're staying safe and doing all the things you need to do to keep yourselves warm with the bomb cyclone coming in. But regardless, thanks a ton for being Yellow Jackets with us, cheering along our guys. It was a really good year on the flats, I would say, all things considered. I mean, I know football wasn't it was quite a bumpy road, but I mean, all women's teams in the 2021-2022 cycle made the NCAA postseason. Women's tennis made it for the 22nd straight year. Volleyball, well, while still a second-round exit, had one of its best seasons of all time in program history. Women's basketball had a really good season, even though with the first-round loss. Swimming is getting better by day. Andres Martin's killing it on the men's tennis side. And just all things considered, especially and academically, the school is healthier than ever and growing significantly. And so the future of Georgia Tech is very bright, I would say, at the very least. And the athletics are part of it. And hopefully, under this new J Bat regime, if you want to put it that way, the pastures will be greener for everybody involved. So with that, let's move on to our interview with Michelle Collier. All right, welcome to the portion of this episode with head coach Michelle Collier of Georgia Tech Volleyball. Thanks for coming in. I guess not under the greatest of circumstances considering the tournament's still going on, but at least, hey, glad we get a chance to talk to you.
No problem. Glad to be here. I'll be talking about Georgia Tech Volleyball with you.
So I forgot, I know we talked preseason. In terms of just season goals, we'll just start there. Did you accomplish them? Was there any left on the table beyond just not winning the final game y'all would have wanted to win?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think our goal was to go as far as we could, really maximize our opportunities. And I think we did that. I think that we kind of start the season off a great year last year, and there was a lot of comparison and expectations and things about what the team did last year. But I felt like this team really was able to work hard and try to develop their identity, their strengths and weaknesses. And I really feel like we left it all out there. We kept trying to find ways to get better, to compete at a higher level. We put ourselves in some great opportunities to win some great matches. And there were a few of them that we couldn't come out on top of it, but overall just really proud of our development as a program and what we have been able to do over the last 4 to 5 years here. Just really exciting, and then to get ourselves back in the tournament, to make it to the second round, to being an opportunity to win that next match as well against anybody that we played. I mean, that speaks a lot to the things that we're doing here and how our players are working hard and really putting themselves in a high level to compete, with anybody in the country.
Mm-hmm. I want to go through the season. Like I found there's about 4 or 5 chunks that made sense to divide it up in. So I'll just start with the beginning. I remember I sat down. I was like, oh, great. First game of the year. It's at my dad's brewery. I was like, all right, I'm tuned in on my computer. And then the first set just goes straight downhill. What does losing the first set of the season have a unique feeling? Just to know that y'all absolutely had the talent to come out very strong, and then it just, for whatever reason, the parts didn't mix immediately. Of course, you win that match, so it was all nice at the end. But just at those first 5 minutes, how did that feel?
I think there were a lot of things. I mean, I think we were prepared to compete, but I think that Ole Miss was doing some things that we just weren't responding well, and so I think that from an execution standpoint, I think that they were playing fast and we were a little paralyzed by their speed and didn't really respond at a level that we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just, again, it's part of competition. And, the good thing is we get 4 more after that first one and we get a chance to redo it and fix it. So I think it was just in general, it's a team playing really well, our team not executing at the level, but
Mhm.
not a lack of preparation, maybe a little bit of nerves in the beginning of the season. Um, I know Bella, it was her first time running and kind of
Right.
being in that position, and so there could have been a little bit of nerves that played in place there, but not a lack of preparation or not being ready to compete. Feel like it was just one of those that we just had to work ourselves into,
Yeah.
a way out of it. As hard as it was to go through it, I felt like it really kind of put us in a good position moving forward as well.
May as well have
Better
the
sooner than later.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I was to say like you may as well have the blemish as soon as possible before it's too
Yeah.
late on the actual record book. And then the non-conference schedule, y'all went 7-2, which I forgot. I think you had said at least 500 was your goal before the
Yes.
season. So obviously that was good. And then I was at the Ohio State game. That clearly was its own kind of animal. It seemed compared to the rest of those games, even the
Yeah.
Arkansas loss. So I mean, not to focus just on the losses, but I guess what in hindsight looks like something to take away from, okay, you're facing a really good team in Ohio State who's playing right now and playing well against Minnesota, and then the Arkansas game, which yes, on the road. I mean, we talked about trap games. Calling it a
Mhm.
trap game gives it too much credit, maybe, but just like despite performing above expectations record wise, what were the things that y'all needed to draw out of those two games before the ACC play?
I think just learning about what makes us better competitors and what doesn't, from a preparation, from a just a feel on the court, right? The energy that we're putting into each other,
Mm-hmm.
our demeanor on the court, how we want to compete, how our opponents attacking us, what are some of our weaknesses that are being really exploited. So those are all things that we got to learn from those matches, and I think that a lot of those times, like I think maybe the Marquette game was the only match that I really felt like we walked out of there and we're like, okay, this guy's just really outplayed us. I think of the whole season. I think that every other match we felt like we really were in it. We had our chances and we just didn't really execute in some ways that we needed to. So I think that was a little bit of how we just got ourselves back. We're like, hey, yeah, it didn't go the way that we wanted to, but we know we're this close, and we know that we could have won that match.
Yeah.
Had we executed in something. So I think that those type of matches kind of kept us coming back to the gym, looking forward to challenging ourselves again and putting ourselves out there, um, and responding. And this team did that. Every time we had a setback, the next day they were ready to work and they were ready to respond and to just put our face out there again to
Mm-hmm.
be punched and figure it out if we're gonna what we needed to do. So I think that's what it takes. It takes courage to compete at this level, and they did that. So I'm really proud of just the demeanor, working ourselves out of those situations.
Mm-hmm. And then shifting, I guess the next phase was the hype around the McCamish game with Pitt,
Uh-huh.
which I found it cool that y'all only did not play in y'all's actual gyms this year at all between the two games, which I guess
Yeah.
speaks to how well the game's growing too. If it works out, like okay, we just do a home and home, but a home and home sort of situation.
Yeah.
Um, have you seen any material impact just from that game alone outside the team? This because I know obviously that would be something to do again next year if it's possible. I mean, the outline is still on the court right now, like it's visible that it's doable. But did the program have any material benefits as soon as that game happened?
I think so. I think that we were able to show that we could just draw that type of crowd, that type of support. Um, I think that it allows us to expose ourselves to a lot of our supporters that don't always get a chance to watch us play.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to provide the people attending the match, I think a higher, more of a higher quality experience when attending the match with just the seats and what's around it, the screen, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like it was just a higher level, atmosphere to be able to provide to our supporters. So I think all these things were very positive. um, there were a lot of people that talked about us, asked about us, wanted to figure out how they could help, and how they could help us keep growing and moving forward. And so we definitely, fundraising is a big thing for our program. There are a lot of things that we need to continue to do to keep our program competing at a high
Mm-hmm.
level. And their support is very important. And I think that McCamish match, we kind of, we proved ourselves and everybody that we, were worth investing on, and that there's something really special going on with our program. And hopefully, this will lead to bigger things for our student athletes.
Did the players respond any differently? Was there just like did you sense any like higher sense of anticipation to have that shot to play that particular game? Because yeah, there's only one time you're gonna have the first game at McCamish, so
Yeah.
there was history regardless going on.
Yeah, no, I think they were excited. I think that everybody was just curious to see what kind of crowd we were going to have and what was it going to look like. But it was awesome. I mean, there was no lack of energy that, like we
Mm-hmm.
really felt the energy. We felt the support behind us. Felt like it was a great volleyball match. Very well played, well competed. The teams really battled. So just all in all, just a great experience, for anybody that's watching. And so that was really cool. And for our players, a pretty unique opportunity. They were excited to be a part of history and just be able to really take one more step towards the great things that they kept helping our program do. So this is one more that you can add to their resume on the things that they've done for Georgia Tech volleyball.
Did you anticipate the swim team going down to just their swimsuits after the first set at all? That was by far one of
We're
our
hoping they
13.
were. It's been a great tradition.
Yeah.
It's been a great tradition. I think they're awesome. We appreciate all the support and camaraderie and just being able to, be out there for us and not be afraid of doing what they need to do to
Yeah.
kind of get that rolling. So I think it's always fun. I think a lot of programs are doing that. And when you have that peer-to-peer support, I know for our players, it means a lot from their friends and,
Hmm.
the people that they're kind of in the grind with day to day. It's really cool to see that. So we're definitely appreciative of it and just it's all good fun. And I think it enhanced the atmosphere and the experience. So we're
Yeah.
we're grateful for them.
I imagine you'd all want to do another game there next year. Do y'all know if there's a way to do more than one? Is that even something you're already in the works for? Is that just what's the status on something like that for
Yeah,
2026?
no, it's definitely we definitely didn't walk out of there saying we're never gonna do this again. So I think that everybody felt like, hey, this was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What can we do here? What are the next steps? And I think we'll take the time now that Jay is on board and
Yeah.
he's, settled and kind of have a conversation there of what the vision is and what do we see happening and how do we keep growing and getting better. And I'm sure McCamish is going to play a part in those
Hmm.
conversations too. So we'll see what happens. At least another one, I'm sure we'll be able to make it happen on an annual basis, and who knows,
Hmm.
maybe more. So we'll see.
Nice. I guess I didn't think about to ask about Jay Bat being here now. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him at all, or just what have you? Do you have any first impressions of what
Yeah,
working
no,
with him is
he's
going to
been
be like?
great, super supportive of myself and our program. We're excited. I know he had his hands full with a lot of things going on, and
Yeah.
I think that he's, settling in and putting a lot of really great pieces in place. And we'll get our chance to sit down and chat here in a couple of days. And we did have a brief conversation, and it was nice to see, his vision, his philosophy.
Hmm.
He wants to be as good as we want to be, so it's fun that those things align and get a small chance to get to know him. But looking forward to just getting to know him a little bit more and having a little more one-on-ones with him and talking about our program and how we keep it moving forward.
Yeah. Nice. Not to, I know we talked in the last media session. We talked a lot about Pitt and Louisville, but I don't know if you're a tennis fan at all. But this feels a lot like when y'all are like Andy Murray when Rafa Nadal and Federer were at the peak of their powers, and there was like you knew there was a top two, but Murray at some point could sneak through at some point.
Uh-huh.
Statistically, it works out that way too in terms of all the offensive stats, defensive stats. Pitt and Louisville being up there than y'all. Does
Right.
it now that story ends where Andy Murray wins Wimbledon at some point though,
There we
and,
go.
and gets through
Coming.
Novak? How do you have to, for you in your head, what does this team have to do to get to the point where it truly feels like there is a 50-50 shot, it's a coin flip whenever you play those two teams?
Yeah, no, I think it was like that this year. I think we definitely had our chances on both of those matches against those guys, but I think that they just kind of pull through in some key moments in the match, and I think that you don't learn and you don't get there if you're not, not putting yourself out there over and over. And I felt like we have done that the past years.
Hmm.
It's even though we have yet to crack. We got Pitt one time, and we have yet to crack against Louisville.
Hmm.
But I feel like we're getting closer and closer. And that is something that we talk about a lot as a team. And they're not the only teams. I mean, there's a lot of other
Yep.
teams that are coming
Yep.
behind us and around us that are going to keep challenge those guys, and they're definitely I think now they're an example of what can be done at a high level here in the ACC. Their coaches and their administrations have done a great job supporting the sport and giving the coaches opportunities to grow and really be relevant on a national stage. I think the landscape in general with the sport is changing. The SEC had a great year.
Yep.
Um, there are teams from a lot of different conferences in the Sweet 16. So those are all things that it's not one or two conferences dominant anymore. There's a lot of teams out there. The parity this year was really impressive.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just fun. It's a fun time for volleyball. It's a fun time for the sport, and definitely the ACC is going to play a big part of that, and hopefully we continue to stay relevant and get ourselves closer and closer to winning those matches.
Yeah, in those tight ones, I mean, y'all didn't get to that many. I think tight fifth set matches compared to the rest of the ACC in the country as a whole. But in the some of those games where I think there was one, I forgot who it was, but got like an 11-point run on y'all, and there was a couple other spots where y'all would be up a healthy amount or about to close out a set, and then especially the Louisville match and the Pitt. The second two versions of those are good examples of being right at the tail close into the finish line, and then not
Yeah.
getting there. I to frame this, trying to frame this nicely. Do y'all think y'all had enough of a killer mentality to close out sets? Was that just for you, just like the coin flip just wasn't right that day, or is there another level of like, no, there's something here that we can do just in terms of demeanor and just ability to just say no, we're just going to finish this now. We don't care who we're playing to get
Yeah, no,
those
I
few
mean, I
points.
think that is something that we need to learn as a team that I think that those guys do a really good job at. They really, I think, capitalize on their opportunities to put away matches. Um, and I think we've had those chances and we just got to execute.
Yeah.
When you're at that level, like the small detail can make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to emphasize that in our gym on a daily basis. Hey, it's one ball. We train for one ball. We talk about that all the time. We're not training for when we're up 10 points, and we're training for that one ball that's going to make a difference. And we have had the opportunities in those matches to execute on those balls, and we just haven't, more often than not, in those situations, we end up on the side of not executing when we
Yep.
needed to, for whatever reason, right? So I think that we just gotta keep working and know that what we're doing is right. We're giving ourselves those chances, and they're going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that for whatever it was, we got stuck in a tough rotation, or it was maybe a player makes a mistake that they don't usually make, but it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of it didn't go our way. Um, but one thing that we learn in sports is you have to earn everything that's given to you and at this level. And so, if we don't execute, nobody's going to give it to you. So
Right.
I think
Yep.
it doesn't matter how hard we worked and how much we were deserving of it. In the end, they scored a point and we didn't, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how it goes. And but that doesn't take away all the other great things that we did,
Yep.
that we're
For
going
sure.
to keep doing, and just we'll get ourselves out there again, and we'll go for it.
Yeah, you said earlier. I was kind of surprised. You said the Marquette game felt like when y'all were like were actually outmatched. In did that just feel like it was just flat for y'all, like in just terms of how y'all played, and did it like really feel like there was just something there that just was not y'all weren't able to overcome in that three setter?
Yeah, I just felt like it was a match where they had a good control of the match. Um, they put a lot of pressure on our service receive, and I think that we just didn't push back at the level that we
Mm-hmm.
needed to. I think that first game was crucial. We had a good lead there. We kind of let that first match go, and them being at home, and they gained some momentum, and we just kind of, I think we played a little bit tentative,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't let up. I mean, I think that they put a lot of pressure from the service line at us, and they didn't make a lot of mistakes in that. And um, their setter is great, and they just kind of, they got in a good rhythm, and it
Yep.
was almost like an avalanche, like we just couldn't stop it.
Yep.
It wasn't for a lack of us not trying or anything like that, but it was really a match where I just felt like they really just had a lot more control of it than we did throughout the whole match, So uh, really one match that walked away just like, hey, damn, we got outplayed.
Shrug the shoulder game.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's okay. That doesn't take away a lot of the. I was just at peace with the work that we put in this season,
Hmm.
with how much our players have invested and worked hard for our program. So it was just a match that, as much as it sucked to walk out of there because we wanted to be playing this weekend,
Yep.
um, we were also really proud of the things that we did, and to be fair, the better team won that day.
Does playing, because the tournament provides at least specifically in y'all's tournament, provides the unique experience of playing a neutral site in a road game or a home game in a very quick succession. Does that like change how you approach games at all? Does the environment make a noticeable difference day to day from playing effectively a barely as anyone there against right state game, and then it's a full spread home game on the same exact court the next day? Does that stuff matter to you as players at all? Is that just part of the drill? You just show up and play.
No, I think it's part of it. I think that by that time of the year and that late in season, we've been in those situations. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we've played at packed gyms that were against us and won matches, and we played it away and we lost matches, and we played at home and won, and played at
Mm-hmm.
home and won. So um, I don't think that there was a big difference on how we approached that match, but obviously playing at home and having, the support behind you makes a big difference in
Mm-hmm.
those types of scenarios. So it was unfortunate that we couldn't really get that one match that got us to host. And we ended up being in that situation on the road, but it's also part of it. And if you want to win and compete at this level, you can't pick and choose,
Yep.
right? You got to show up and compete, and it's survive and advance, and we knew that. And I think we were prepared for it. Again, we practiced, we put in the work, but they played better than we did.
Yeah. Um, so I was looking over some numbers earlier. It turns out y'all played the fewest points in the ACC total of any of the teams, and the fewest sets, along with Syracuse. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if this matters at all, but like, does the fact y'all had like over like hundreds of points fewer in game throughout the season, does that add up to? Does that end up like mattering in terms of where y'all maybe could have gone? Like, would have, in theory, losing one more set to have the extra 45, 50 points, just with that experience, maybe it would have added up later. I don't know if that's also due to like how the
Yeah,
schedule
no, I
panned
don't
out,
I
but
don't think that the main thing with RPI and kind of their measuring, thing is win and lose, right? They don't
mm-hmm.
really take in consideration points or sets or things like that, which in my opinion they should, but they don't. And it ends up being a big, I think when the committee, is looking at it, it ends
Mm-hmm.
up being a big thing that they reference too. And just I think for us, what hurt us was, a little bit of that, and just the top 25 win. We BYU was, I think, 26 RPI at the time. Maybe had them being a little bit higher, or we got in one of those close matches.
Yep.
I think it would have been a different story. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, enough about this year. Let's go to next year. Um, do you know of the people? So obviously, there's still a lot of COVID extra year in the mix and whatnot. Of the fourth years, are any of them returning? Are they outside of, like, I know Morissette and Bergman have definitely said they're out. But are any of the fourth years that could go another year? Are they all coming? Are any of them coming back?
No, right now, we're all treating them as seniors. I mean, we're about to, get some player meetings and kind of talk about the future and what does that look like for them. But right now, Tally was a grad transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Paula and Paula have a couple, and Aaron have some eligibility left. So we're, starting to have those conversations with them and see where they're at. And also, I mean, we recruit so far ahead that some scholarships are already,
Mm-hmm.
committed and things like that. So we have to look into a whole picture. And it's always a big part of this time now.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
so I mean, and losing between Bergman and Morissette, when you have holes that big that you have to fill, do you have a procedure that you or a structure that you follow in terms of how you want to fill those in, whether it's stat based, just eye test, how someone plays in a given role, and how that'll mesh with your system well? Do you have an approach to that?
Yeah, no, our goal is to find the best player that can come in those positions. Those are all things that they leave a big void. Those are they're not easy to replace. They're we're not going to replace them with
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they did and who they are. But we just try to really, how do we keep upgrading every position? How do we keep adding depth to what we have already and our younger kids coming up? What kind of roles do we see them coming in and being able to fill? So it's exciting. I mean, I think we got some good things lined up for the future that we can't talk about it too much yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's just it's exciting and we're gonna again try to find the best player that we can for every time our goal is to just keep getting the level in the gym better and better.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've asked Bergman this, but at least in my head, I'm thinking, all right, Bergman's got a year left. If it seems worth to at least ask, like, hey, is there a shot? Would you ever ask that to her? Like, just be like, you got it.
We have plenty of
Okay.
times. Yeah, we joke around a lot. But no, but she's ready for
Yeah.
that next stage. I think that she really uh, just she's ready. I think that she's done her time. She really worked really hard for us, left it
Mm-hmm.
all, here for us and really put herself in a position to have some great opportunities out there. And it's just her time. She can't really let some of that timing get too far away from her either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's ready for that next challenge and kind of that just next stage in her life. And we're super proud of her and excited to see what that looks like.
Nice. Of the freshmen that are coming, are you able to say like what you're expecting from any of them, or who you've got coming in? I've tried to look and I just haven't found anything, but I just didn't know if
Yeah,
that's
no,
stuff
right
you
now
can
I think
say.
publicly we have Zoe, who is a libero from Texas. Um, she's one that has signed with us so far. We have other players that we're talking to, but we're waiting on some things to kind of pin out so that we can probably talk about them. But just an exciting class, an exciting group of kids. I think that they'll help us stay in contention to be in one of the top teams in the ACC and to compete for championships and postseason. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Zoe is a libero from Dallas, played at TAV Volleyball Club, and just a fun player to have and watch, and it's gonna add some good fire and depth to that position.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is me just nerding out in terms of like the specifics of how a game is run. When you're challenging a call, I really wish y'all had 4K cameras on those nets because the number of tip calls that would be clarified is basically all of them.
I
Like those million per frames per
know.
second phantom cameras. As soon as that reaches NCAA volleyball, everything changes. But I guess a number of them, from what I observed, I couldn't see the ones at home because they don't show the screen or anything like that. But at least on
Yeah.
the road, from the ones I seen, it seems like it was about 50-50 ish of the ones that got overturned and not. What do you go back and look at those just to like see like, hey, is there a way I could use, because it is a tool in the game, I
I
guess.
do because I want to be like, I know I was right. I know I was right.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm like, I know they touched it. I know it was in. But a lot of the times the ref gets it right more often than not. But I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no way. There's no way. But it's just so fast. It's just so
Yeah.
fast that you need a higher. You need. I think what the thing is not the resolutions in like the frames per second.
Yes, the frame per yeah.
Yeah. So you need that to be higher, and we need to do better for the sport. Like we need to make sure that we get it's out there internationally. You already have it. Like
Mm-hmm.
challenges are like this, so the technology is there. Um, we just need everybody to invest in it, being able to apply it to the college game, because the game is physical, the game is fast. I wouldn't want to be in the ref shoes or the line judge's shoes. Like
Mm-hmm.
those things are hard to see and they're human. And so I think that technology is there for a reason. It's making the game better. and hopefully, that will continue to get better as we go. I mean, this is better than not having it. And I think that the rule has gotten better and the quality has gotten better over the years, but we're still pretty far from where we need to be for sure.
To wrap up, do you have like a 3 or 4 second sentence thing of how you would describe the state of the program right now?
Yeah, no, I think we're excited. We're looking forward to the future. I think that we have been able to lay a solid foundation here. We have proven that we can develop players, win at a high level, compete at a high level, and we hope that recruits keep coming and we keep able to get an opportunity to coach some great young women, and have them help them develop and do some awesome things and win some matches and get the crowd back, keep Beck O'Keefe, and who knows, McCamish. I don't know where we're gonna be going, but
Yeah.
it's just exciting. It's an exciting time. It's always fun. Transitions are never easy. We I know you said 4 words. That's way more than 4 words, but
You're good. You're good.
transitions are never easy. We lose some great people that have done a lot for our program, and they will be irreplaceable. But we're going to keep working hard to sustain the legacy that they have built here, and just looking forward to getting back to work.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch.
Cool, no problem.